What makes a fantasy world stick with you? Is it jaw-dropping visuals, a strong story, or the feeling that the world you're watching could actually exist? Aquaman nailed that formula, plunging us into a visually stunning Atlantis with its dazzling underwater kingdoms. And then there's Green Lantern. Remember Oa? Supposedly the center of an intergalactic force of peacekeepers, but somehow it felt emptier than a gas station at 3 a.m. Both films had massive potential, stellar casts, big budgets, and source material begging to shine. Yet one soared and the other, well, tripped too badly. So what went so right for Aquaman and so wrong for Green Lantern? Let's break it down to see. So buckle up, it's comparison time. To understand this, we need to rewind to the background information of each movie. In 2011, DC tried to bring Green Lantern to life, starring Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan. On paper, it had everything going for it. A massive $200 million budget, a star-studded cast, and the promise of introducing audiences to the Green Lantern Corps, a galactic force spanning thousands of alien species. The movie was going to build an expansive universe, from the Lantern's headquarters on OA to the concept of willpower and
billions of years ago, a race of immortals harnessed the most powerful force in existence, the emerald energy of willpower.
fear as cosmic forces. But here's the kicker. Instead of feeling grand and epic, it felt more like a video game cutscene. The CGI-heavy visuals and clunky storytelling made Oa look less like a living, breathing world and more like a rushed digital backdrop. Fast forward to 2018, when Aquaman hit theaters. Directed by James Wan, the movie took us to Atlantis, an underwater utopia. The attention to detail in the movie was staggering, from the bioluminescent sea creatures to the unique and creative designs of Atlantis' 7 underwater kingdoms. Unlike Green Lantern, which relied heavily on exposition, Aquaman let its world speak for itself through jaw-dropping visuals and strong storytelling. So while Green Lantern promised an expansive universe and fell short, Aquaman focused on building one compelling world and nailed it. But what exactly made the difference? Let's break it down more. We all love cinematic universes, right? It's like being transported into an entire new world, a place so graphically evocative that you completely immerse yourself in the experience and almost forget that you are sitting on your couch. That's the power of a great world building. But how do filmmakers pull this off? Well, it's the carefully crafted details that breathe life into these fictional worlds. Let's explore the key ingredients that separate a wow from a meh. First, Aquaman's visual execution was nothing short of groundbreaking. James Wan created Atlantis as a living, breathing world that felt distinct, unique, yet accessible. It felt like a real place. Every frame had purpose. The use of color, light, and texture made the world feel alive, like you could almost hear the currents and smell the salt water. Meanwhile, Green Lantern relied too heavily on CGI, and the result, an uninspired, textureless universe that failed to spark the imagination for viewers. The green glow dominating every scene wasn't just repetitive, honestly it was distracting. The aliens, even though they were creatively designed, lacked personality because the film never gave them room to breathe as characters. Storytelling is the secret sauce of world building. Sure, striking visuals are great, but without a good story, it is like serving up a steak with no seasoning. It just doesn't hit. Here, Aquaman really flexes its muscles. And yes, pun fully intended. Arthur Curry's journey wasn't just epic, it was personal. A man caught between two worlds, struggling to figure out who he really is while juggling some serious family drama. His relationships with Atlanta, Mera, and Orm created an essence of actual human emotion. Oh, and let's not forget Arthur's son. The kid could open a side hustle as a human water gun with how often he ends up peeing in Arthur's face. Parenthood under the sea is not exactly smooth sailing, and honestly, who can't relate to that? Now, let's look at Green Lantern. It tried, bless its heart, but the storytelling was as disconnected as Wi-Fi in the middle of nowhere. Sure, we learned about the Green Lantern Corps and their powers, but it was all delivered through clunky exposition dumps. Instead of emotional stakes, we got generic quips and an underdeveloped romance. It all made it hard for the audience to connect with his struggles. Emotions are the heart of every powerful narrative. It's a key differentiator. Aquaman knew what story it wanted to tell, a classic hero's journey blended with epic family drama. Arthur's struggle as a half-human, half-Atlantean outsider
Often now it stands empty, while our king is spends half his time on land.
Gave the audience an emotional anchor. Green Lantern, on the other hand, lacked that emotional core and tried to juggle too much. Hal Jordan's journey was meant to be about overcoming fear, but his connection to OA and the core felt shallow. Aquaman gave us a world that felt like it had existed for centuries before we even got there. Atlantis had history, warring kingdoms, political drama, and artifacts like the Trident of Atlan that weren't just for show, while Green Lantern felt like it skimmed the surface of its universe. Oa, home to thousands of lanterns from countless species, had the potential to feel like an intergalactic melting pot. Instead, it felt like someone slapped a green screen behind a few extras and called it a day. One of Aquaman's greatest strengths was its ability to balance grandeur with detail. The underwater visuals were stunning, but never overwhelming. Every frame had a sense of purpose. Now Green Lantern, it went into full CGI mode and didn't look back. Sure, it had glowing rings and a whole lot of green, but none of it felt grounded. It was like watching a video game cutscene, but without the fun part where you get to play. Instead of being wowed, we were left wondering if we needed to adjust the brightness on our screens. We cared about Atlantis because Arthur cared about Atlantis. This is how character integration works. Arthur Curry wasn't just some guy who visited Atlantis. He was tied to it by blood, by history, and by his own messy emotions. His struggle to unite his human and Atlantean sides made us root for him and care about Atlantis. Hal Jordan in Green Lantern, though, he felt like a guy on a corporate retreat he didn't want to attend. There was no personal investment in the world he was supposed to protect, and as a result, the audience felt the same detachment. When you combine these elements, stunning visuals, compelling characters, and narrative clarity, you get a world like Atlantis. Breathtaking, dynamic, and unforgettable. When you strip those elements away, you're left with something like Oa, a place that's visually impressive, but emotionally hollow. So what's the big takeaway? Aquaman worked because it didn't just build a world, it made that world matter. Atlantis wasn't just pretty, it had stakes, culture, and a direct tie to Arthur's growth as a character. It gave us the spectacle and the substance. Meanwhile, Green Lantern was like a half-baked cake. All the ingredients were there for something incredible, but it came out undercooked. Oa and the Lantern Corps could have been a galaxy-spanning epic, but they ended up as forgettable window dressing. The lesson here? World building isn't just about flashy visuals or big budgets. It's about creating a place that feels alive. Get that right, and you will have got something unforgettable for the audience. Here's a question for you. If DC had another shot at Green Lantern, what would you want to see done differently? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed taking this deep dive into Atlantis and OA, or just enjoyed some movie banter, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell because we've got more coming, like a breakdown of The Flash and how DC might finally crack the multiverse. And seriously, drop your thoughts below. How would you fix Green Lantern? Let's keep the convo going.